Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen, the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. As always, I'm going to start with my schedule. This weekend, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, at the Funny Bone in Short Pump. There's only 2 nights, September 29th, September 30th. We got 5 shows, but there's something freaky going on in that area because it's the Funny Bone and it's right behind Dick's, and it's off of Broad and Knuckles. In Short Pump, behind Dick's, down the street from Broad and Knuckles. Yeah, it's kind of freaky down there in Richmond, Virginia. So I'll be out there this weekend, and then next weekend, October 7th, I am in Morongo Casino in Palm Springs, California. At the Morongo Casino in Palm Springs, California. And then October 12th through the 15th, I am in Cleveland, Ohio at the Improv. October 20th and 21st, I'm in Chicago, Illinois at the RE Crown Theater. And then November 1st, just got announced, I'm in Sacramento for one night at the Punchline. And November 3rd through the 5th, I'm in San Jose, California at the Improv. And on November 4th, we are filming my next comedy special. So that's why we booked Sacramento on the 1st, and we got a night before on the 3rd in San Jose because I need those club dates to get ready for the special. I need that hour. It's like that you're honing in what your hour is. So if you go to the Sacramento show November 1st, you're definitely getting a preview of what my next special is. And also if you want to come on the 3rd, you'll get the special, and then the 4th, that is the special. That's when we're recording. So, that's where I'm at. And then November 9th through the 12th, I'm in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone. And then I got a casino run middle of November. 16th, I'm in Detroit. 17th, I'm in Atlantic City. 18th, I'm in Baltimore. So for all my tour dates, just go to GaryOwen.live. It's GaryOwen.live for all my upcoming tour dates. Now, last weekend, I was in Washington, D.C. We sold out 9 shows clean. The crowds were great. It's funny. I didn't know that the Black Caucus Convention, Congressional Black Caucus Convention was in town. I mean, can you pick a better week for me to be in a city? I will say, a couple things happened this weekend that was interesting at the Washington D.C. Improv. Now, the staff is great. The waiters, the waitresses, the bartenders, and it wasn't perfect though. And this is it's weird. Like if you don't know the business, and comedians that do know the business, they know. Like the goal is when you got a headliner, and especially a headliner that's selling a decent amount of tickets. The goal is to make that guy comfortable or girl comfortable. And when you get pushback, it just rubs me wrong. So the whole weekend I had a tense weekend with management. I did. It started when I made a phone call. And every comedy club probably has a couple GMs you call. And I understand there's stuff that's in the writer, so to speak. Like if you just want to go off the writer and buy the book, that's one thing. But it's also things happen, and it's not everything has to be like in writing, so to speak. Like if I wanted let's say if I wanted a latte from Starbucks, there's 95% of the clubs would just have someone go get it because you're there all day, all night. But you got those few that are like, nope, that is not in the writer. We are not doing that for you. And that's what I ran into this weekend in D.C. And I know this is going to – people are probably going to hear this in D.C., but look, that's the point we have podcasts, is we could talk about this stuff. And you guys can tell me if I'm in the right or am I in the wrong in this. I am completely open to. So it started out, I sell T-shirts after my shows. And it's sometimes when I'm mailing T-shirts off to comedy clubs, sometimes you'll send them to the club or the hotel I'm staying at. And the problem with the club is they don't open sometimes till 10. And if you get an early morning delivery and nobody's there to sign for it, you can get caught up in the trying to catch up to it at the FedEx or the UPS office. So what we've been doing lately, me and my guy Nate's he handles all my T-shirts. You know, I always text him, hey, I need 100, I need 200 this weekend or whatever. So he'll always send my T-shirts off for me. So what we've been the little bit craziness with T-shirts lately is, one, sometimes it gets to the club and nobody's there to sign for it, and then we can't track it down, and then sometimes we'll call the managers and we'll ask, if it's possible, can we send it to your house? That way you have it ahead of time. Because I don't know what's going on with the mail system lately, but he'll send something out on like Monday to get there Thursday, and it just won't get there until Friday for whatever reason. It'll get lost and nobody was there to get it. It'll get there a day early or things happen. Usually when you send it to a resident, you know when somebody's there. So some managers will offer that up. They'll be like, yeah, just send it to my house or my apartment. I got it. Or my hotel. So in this instance in D.C., we said, well, let's go to the hotel. And so we sent it to my hotel. It got there before I got there. So I called the manager and I said, hey man, you mind picking up my merch? I go, I'm staying a block away from the comedy club. I purposely stayed there on purpose to be really close. And he said, can your opener get it? And I immediately was like, I don't know, I was triggered. Because I was like, what do you mean my opener? It's a block away. You can't have somebody just run down and get it. I'm not there yet. And I didn't want the hotel to put it somewhere in storage and it gets lost. Once I got the notification it was delivered, I called the front desk. I said, can you guys bring my box to the front desk? I'll have somebody get it before like 6 o'clock. And it was just like, pushback. I was like, my opener? What do you mean? My opener's not with me right now. I didn't even know where my opener was when I called. So there was pushback. So then that kind of triggered me a little bit. But they did end up getting the merch box. So thank you for that. And then, I stopped eating inside the comedy clubs a while ago for the most part because I got scarred because I was at one club. I'm not going to say the name. But I remember I was hyping it up to one of my openers. I go, man, they got the best chicken Caesar salads at this club. And we get there. We walk through the back door of the clubs. And a lot of times you got to walk through kitchens when you go through comedy clubs. We walk through the kitchen, and the freaking chef's got his bare hands, and he just got the lettuce, the chicken, and he just spreading it out. And I go, oh, my God, I can't eat the salads here no more. Now, I will say, like I said, 90% of the clubs, they got the gloves on. They got health codes. This one, which wasn't a improv or funny bone, I'll put it that. It's a mom and pop's one. That guy was finger fucking the food. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I can't eat here no more. And I remember my opener looked at me and goes, this the place? You hyped up the salads? I go, clearly I've had some filth on my salads in the past. Maybe that's why it tasted so good. So anyways, this DC Improv, I switched agencies a few months ago. I went from UTA to CAA. So when I made that transition, some of the clubs are getting my old rider. And comedians, we switch riders all the time. What do we want? Do we want this kind of water, this kind of liquor? Do we want fruit? Do we want celery? Do we want Doritos, or do we want Sun Chips? It's just little stuff to make you comfortable. Now, keep in mind, I'm there all day. We had 9 shows in 4 days. So Friday and Saturday, I had 3 shows a night, 3. So I'm there 8 hours, 9 hours. So without even thinking about it, I usually text my opener, Rob, and I say, hey, see if they'll not see, but hey, tell them I want this to eat, a food order, and we'll look up restaurants that are close by the comedy club and just so they can grab it and bring it back to the green room. When I tell you I've never had pushback for this, ever. I didn't even realize it needed to be in my rider. And so we said, hey, we'd like to order. I remember I wanted to order some salmon and vegetables. That was it. Nothing crazy. And the guy goes, the manager was like, no, it's not in his rider. We're not going to do that. And then I texted him. I said, is there a problem with the food? And he was like, yeah, you can order off the menu in the comedy club, but we're not going out to get anything to eat. And I was like, what? I've never had nobody say that to me in like so long. I was like, I'm here all day. And they weren't willing to go get. They said, you can do it yourself or we can do it and we'll take it out of your check. And I was going, now, comedians, I hope if you're not a comedian, you're probably like, oh, I sound like a prima donna maybe. I don't know. So I was just so taken back because I was like, I thought the goal was to make the comedians comfortable. And it just was like, dang. First, the pushback was didn't want to get my merch. And then there was pushback on just run to grab me something to eat real quick. And I was just like, because the last thing you want to do as a comedian when you got 3 shows in one night is scrambling trying to find some food. So usually we'll during the day I'll find a restaurant close to the comedy club and we'll just ask and somebody go get it for us. So I was just a little taken back, but nobody was like a jerk in person, but it was the pushback that just threw me a little bit. So yeah, I was wondering. I called another comedian. I actually called D-Ray Davis, and I was like, "Hey, D-Ray, you know the GMs over here?" I said, "Are they cool?" And D-Ray was like, "Yeah, they're great." And then D-Ray called, and that's when the manager goes, "It's not his rider." And then D-Ray called me back. He was like, "Man, just put a line in there. You want to get food from a nearby restaurant." And I said, "Yeah, but I guess they had an old rider, and I didn't know that was quote unquote necessary." Usually we just order, never thought about it. So now it's in my rider. So I don't know. It was just rubbed me a little wrong. And then we were having a great weekend, right? The crowds were amazing. And like I said, the staff is great at the DC Improv. All the waiters and waitresses, very accommodating and on it. And my last show, Sunday night, I go on stage. And as soon as I say, "Hey, what's up, DC?" and started to get into my first joke, I hear all this commotion in the back of the room. And I'm going, I thought it was usually when you hear commotion in the back of the room like that, it's a discrepancy over the bill or somebody's being loud and security in the comedy club is telling them to be quiet and there could be a little argument ensued. That's what I assumed it was. All of a sudden I heard, "He's having a seizure. He's having a seizure." And all of a sudden, tables got flipped around, and they was like, "We need a doctor. We need a doctor." And I guess one of the ladies that worked at the comedy club was a nurse, and the guy had a seizure right there, threw up all over himself. I got off the stage, made sure he was okay. We reset the room about 45 minutes later. EMTs came into the comedy club. It was kind of a chaotic scene, but he ended up being okay. In the end, he was okay. And then you got to go back up now because now you got 300 people sitting there like, we done paid for this show. We still want a show. And you wonder how their mindset's going to be. When I tell you, I was like, okay, that type of stuff gets my juices going. It's like, oh, this is why we get in this business right here because you can get in a routine with shows where it's just you're doing the same thing over and over again. You're kind of like an autopilot. But when you get those nights when something like this happens, and I'm glad that guy's okay, I was like, okay, now I got a challenge in front of me. Now I got a crowd they've been here for too long. It's a Sunday. I'm sure some of them had to go to work tomorrow. So now they're like probably looking at their watches. And, it was quiet. There wasn't much you can't play music. You're just hoping this guy's okay. And really only like 20, 30 people can actually see him. Because you got to everybody was cool. They stayed in their seats and they gave the guy space. So now you got to reset the room. And I remember the first thing I said when I got on stage was, now that we know he's okay, I go, without a doubt, somebody in this room was like, am I going to get a refund? and when's the right time to call? That's the first thing I said, and the crowd started clapping like, yep, because that's what we do as people. We're like, now that he's okay, what do we do? Like, are we getting a refund? I don't want no voucher. I want my money back. It was very similar to when I was at the DeMar Hamlin football game, the Monday Night Football game last year with the Bills and Bengals, and once we left the stadium, and once we found out DeMar was okay, and granted it was weeks later, you're like, we don't get no refund for that game. We're just out. I guess you could say you're a part of history, but yeah. So that was nuts. And then the crowd was just with me the whole night, and then I went long, and they were with me. Like we talked about everything. It was like a therapy session. So it was. It might have been. Could have been my favorite audience of the weekend actually. That late show Sunday. It was a great crowd. So if you was there, that was nuts. I think that's the second time I've had Kansas City. I had a guy had a seizure one time, and now this time. That's the only two times I can remember in my comedy career where I was on stage and somebody had a medical emergency and ambulance had to come get them and get them out of the room, and then you reset the room. Thank God both times everybody ended up being okay. So, because then you can talk about it on stage. Now, I just noticed I said thank God. It's interesting. This is going to be an interesting segue. When I say thank God, so it got announced Usher is the halftime performer at the Super Bowl this year. And, it's going to be good. I don't know how – I think live it's going to be freaking amazing. I just wonder it's sometimes the R&B singers, it doesn't translate as great of a performer as they are on TV. If that makes sense. Sometimes you're like, yeah, I wish I was there to see it. That's sometimes what I think of when they have the R&B singers. Like, is that going to translate? And if they're not playing an instrument, like when Prince played the guitar in the rain, I was like, oh my God, that is so Prince. And then, Beyonce's just a freaking performer, right? I remember Maroon 5, I was like, that didn't do much for me. Now when Snoop and Dre and 50 and Eminem came out, that was classic. That was all hip hop classics. The Weeknd was just kind of like, whoa. Rihanna was good last year though, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how Usher translates to that live show in the stadium on TV. I know live it's gonna be amazing. I'm talking about on TV how it's gonna translate. But what's funny was he called into the Breakfast Club. And there's been two call-ins to the Breakfast Clubs this week I want to talk about. First one was Usher. He calls in and he says, I want to thank everybody for their prayers. And I'm just going, I think God's got more important things on his mind than who's going to be the halftime performer at the Super Bowl. I think sometimes we use the prayer thing a little much. Out of all the things in the world, you got natural disasters, murders, rapists, child molesters, abusers, terrorists. That's a lot on God's plate. I don't think who's going to be the halftime performer had anything to do with God. Just my opinion. I think he's busy somewhat. So it was so funny when he goes, yeah, just, the prayers. I appreciate all the prayers to give me that. I'm like, what? I was like, I don't think anyone's prayers got you that halftime performance. I think it was your talent. Your talent got you that, Usher. I don't think the prayers got you that. It's similar. I watched that show Big Brother on CBS, which is like a guilty pleasure of mine. I love that show. And right now there's a mom and son on the show, and the son got on the block. If you watch Big Brother, somebody gets voted out every week. He was on the block to get voted out, and the mom was like, I'm saying my prayers. I'm saying my prayers that he gets the votes. I'm going, I don't think God cares about who's going to vote who out on Big Brother. One thing we know, we got free will, and so we can make decisions on our own. Everything doesn't have to be God. And I think God is like, Big Brother's Big Brother. I'm going to put that over here. You guys enjoy yourself. If there's a medical emergency or anything, I'll come through. But you guys have fun over in Big Brother. I don't think anything to do with if your son was going to stay or go. Sorry. And same thing with Usher. So that's just my opinion on things. I think we use the prayer thing a little too much. Now, someone that I would think would have found God and needed our prayers was Tory Lanez. He left. Somehow they leaked this voicemail or something on the Breakfast Club of him in prison. Yo, he sounded like he was so happy. And Charlamagne talked about it. I go, I don't want to be that happy on a prison phone. He was talking about new music. He's glad to be out of county in a real prison. They had him on lockdown all day. And it was just like, and it was such a clear, usually prison voicemails, they're kind of muffled. And you really got to listen. This sounded like, it sounded like he had a mic on. And it was so clear and crisp and jolly. It was like, I was really thinking, did he get some pussy? That's what it sounded like. It sounded like, because when you go to prison for an enormous amount of time, all I think about as a man is like, dang, you ain't getting no pussy. And Tory Lanez and that voicemail that got leaked, the prison phone call, sound like he got some. So, I don't know. Are there some cute guards there? Did they sneak somebody in? He sounded way too happy. That's all I know. If I know I got 10 years in prison, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to release some new music, and I hope you guys keep me in your prayers. That's when prayers are needed, when you're in prison. Now, I said in one of my acts, I don't want prisoners praying for me, because I had a guy one time that I know in prison. He told me, I'm praying for you. I said, no. I don't want prayer. I don't want prison prayers. I want free people prayers. Because if you're going to pray for me, you need to focus your prayers on yourself. You're in jail. You're in prison. Don't worry about me. I'm good. If you're going to pray for me, I want free people prayers. I don't want prisoner prayers. You can have that. So, at that point, I can see Tory Lanez saying, I appreciate the prayers. But I don't, again, that is the appropriate time for prayers, not the Super Bowl halftime show. So, Tory Lanez, yes. Usher, no. Okay. But I don't want Tory Lanez prayers. He's in jail. He can keep his prayers. But other people praying for him is cool. But I don't want his. And I'll take Tory Lanez prayers when he gets out, but not while he's in. Okay? Focus on yourself. So the other huge news, since we're talking about, I kind of talked about the Super Bowl a little bit. Of course, went to Monday Night Football last night. Went to Monday Night Football. I just told you when we're taping this episode. My bad. We taped it in advance this week. Went to Monday Night Football. Saw my beloved Cincinnati Bengals finally get a W. Joe Burrow made it through the game. Shouts out to First Star Logistics. They were kind enough to invite me, sat me in their suite, got to catch up with some ex-Bengals, Dre Kirkpatrick, TJ Houshmandzadeh. I'll say this. If you ever get a chance to watch a game with an NFL player, you should do it with TJ Houshmandzadeh. That guy knows football, and he was in the suite yelling like it's weird watching football players that used to be in the league just start yelling like they're fans. Ickey Woods was with us. Ickey just yells at every freaking play. But TJ would be like, man, you got to push off. You got to cover him. You got to jab him at the line. He can't get off. I mean, he'll really break down everything going on before the play happens. And he's right 90% of the time. And he's so like street. I don't want to say hood. He's just like everyday man street. It's just like he's not like refined, or he doesn't watch the game like an announcer. It's just like he's cussing and I mean, they should just. I wish they could give him a show where TJ just announced the football games himself in his own way and live stream it with TJ, or if we can get some kind of network to get an NFL game with Houshmandzadeh, and he could really talk like he was in that suite. Because I was just looking back like he's right every time. He's right every time. So, but yeah, we got to hang out in the suite. Met a couple cool people. Of course, went to Jeff Ruby's. Shouts out to Mitch for taking care of me and my buddy Mike. Had a great dinner. Had a nice cigar. Met Orlando Brown Jr.'s mom. And, when you're in the suites, usually we'll just stick and move. We'll hit, like, different suites. We stopped by Jamar Chase's suite. Orlando Brown. It's just funny seeing different family members of of players and the different vibes in every suite. Like Jamar's suite's very mom, dad, family members. It's got a Louisiana vibe to it. Orlando Brown Jr. was just all women in the suite because he had his mom, his girl had her friends, and then he had one guy used to be in the NFL was in there too, one of his ex-teammates. But that was it. There was probably 6 people in Orlando Brown's suite. Jamar's was kind of crowded. First Star Logistics, that was a freaking club. That thing was there was so many people coming in and out of that suite. So it's just funny watching the different vibes in different suites. Like whenever when Joe Mixon's nice enough to let me sit in his suite, that dude, there's so many kids in there. That's daddy daycare. There's so many kids coming through with sisters, kids, nieces. It's a lot. But they're fun. Everybody's great. But since we're talking about suites and we're talking about football, the big news over the weekend is Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Like, seriously, does anybody have a better life than Travis Kelce? I can't think of an NFL player at this stage. He's on a great team. He is the best at his position. I think right now we can all agree he's the best tight end. Good-looking dude. Down-to-earth guy. Everybody likes Travis. You can't hear nobody say nothing bad about Travis. And he seems like he's generally having fun playing football. I never got the vibe that, like, Tom Brady was having fun playing football. It seemed like he was so obsessed with greatness. It didn't seem like fun. Kobe Bryant never seemed like he was having fun playing basketball. He was so consumed with being the best and winning. It didn't seem fun. It's, that's why I love my team, the Bengals. They seem like they're just having fun when they're playing out there. Outside of Joe Burrow's calf, you're always uneasy. But other than that, they really seem like they're having a good time. And I will say the same with the Chiefs. You see the Chiefs, they just seem like they're having a ball with each other. And nobody's having a better time than Travis Kelce. So now he's dating Taylor Swift. And this is I didn't think I realized the power of Taylor Swifties and what they can do to someone's career. So since Sunday, when she was in his suite, and she was like, let's fucking go! And she was all into it. Travis Kelce, I got it right here. He's amassed over 300,000 new followers on Instagram within 24 hours after the game. And his merchandise sale has spiked 400%. And now he's a top 5 selling jersey in the league because of Swifties. It's such a seamless relationship. Here's the thing. You can't lose in this relationship either. If it doesn't work out, you still can't lose because Taylor Swift's got, I think, doesn't she got a documentary or she's got a movie coming out, right? And now she's pulling probably NFL guys that probably wouldn't have saw it. So now we're not talking about what's happening with NFL male fans of Travis Kelce. It's probably going to go really start following Taylor Swift too. It's a demographic that she probably didn't tap into. Let's be honest. And then you got her followers, female heavy. Now they're like, we love Travis as long as you treat Taylor good. So it's like it's seamless. And here's the thing. If Kansas City doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, they're going to blame her. You know that, right? She's going to get the blame if Kansas City doesn't win. Whether it's Travis could have 35 catches, 6 touchdowns, and they lose to whoever, hopefully the Bengals. They're going to blame the relationship. That's just the nature of this. It's like, remember the Kardashian curse? It's similar. So just know Taylor's going to get blamed if the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl or if Travis gets hurt. He had a little injury in training camp. It reminds me of Ron Artest when he joined the Lakers. Because when he joined the Lakers, he said, they said, do you think you make the Lakers better? And Ron Artest said, I can make them the same. They just won the NBA title. And as crazy as Ron Artest's meta world piece is, that was the most brilliant response I've ever heard from a reporter. The Lakers just won the title. He joins them the next year, like 2010. Do you think was the best. I remember watching it going, oh, my God, that was a brilliant answer. Do you think you make the Lakers better? I can make them the same. They just won a title. It's the same thing here. Travis cannot. He's already the best at his position. If his numbers dip at all, it ain't going to be Patrick Mahomes' fault. It's going to be Taylor Swift's fault. I'm just letting you know she's going to get the blame. So it'd be interesting how it turns out. I'm really shocked at this relationship because I thought Travis liked the sisters. I thought he was dipping in the chocolate like myself. If you look at his history of women, I thought we was a kindred spirit. If you going to tell me who's Travis going to date, I'm thinking Megan Thee Stallion before I'm thinking Taylor Swift. I thought, I had no idea. I had no idea he had a type. He had a Taylor Swift type. Because, Taylor's so talented, but, she ain't thick. Nobody's going to ever say Taylor Swift is thick. And I thought, I don't know if the black girls Travis has dated, I wouldn't really call him thick. I never saw him really in person, but it seems like he has some curves. Yeah, but he never dated the thick one. So maybe it wasn't a Megan Thee Stallion. Maybe it was more of a Rihanna body type. Not sexy red. I don't think he's going that hood. But I'm really shocked. I'm shocked. I thought Travis was just gonna be one of them dudes always dating black girls his whole career. Then Taylor Swift, and then some people are saying this could be a PR stunt. I go, if it is, it's working. It's working if it is. Because I really noticed when they was walking out of the arena, or I'm sorry, walking out of the stadium, they weren't holding hands. I noticed that. I really looked at body language. I'm just curious about it. And then I was like, and then you saw Trav get that side look like, yeah, I'm that dude right now. And that was so funny because his brother plays on the Eagles, and they got to do with the last name Swift, the running back. So now you got Kelce and Swift on the Eagles, and you got Kelce and Swift on the Chiefs. These guys, it's unreal. Their podcast is like quadrupled in size in the last year. They become those brother. They're what you dream about. They're literally living the dream. I mean, I shouldn't say Travis Kelce has the best life. Does the Kelce family have a better life? I can't imagine as a dad that loves sports to be Travis Kelce's mom or dad. I mean, does it get any better? It really doesn't. I mean, everybody's talking about the Kelces. I think the parents are the ones just living life right now, knowing your sons are successful. And it's just like out of a movie. The best tight end in the NFL on this defending Super Bowl champions is dating one of the highest grossing pop artists in the world. During the season. This isn't the offseason. In the middle of the season, this is going down. And then they're playing, they're blowing out, and then they blow out the Bears. It's not even like a close game. And then Travis scores a touchdown. And it's just, I'm like, is this real? Is this happening? And then you got his brother. They got to switch. They remind me of I remember when the Dallas Cowboys had Miles Austin, and they had Terrell Owens, and I mean, it was close to my name, but close to my son's name. But they were standing there on those sidelines, and I saw Austin Owens. And I was like, oh, my God. It's really close. That's my son's name. So that's what it reminded me of when I saw the Kelce Swift. So, yeah, we'll see how this pans out. But just know, Taylor, it's your fault. If Travis's stats go down and the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl, it's on you and the Swifties. So, but I really think it's brilliant how the timing of it. And just got a movie coming out next month. And then Trav. Now, answer me that. I don't even know. Do the players get a cut of their merch sales in the NFL? I think they do. If they got their name on it, I'm pretty sure they do. So they're just making money. And now the Swifties are going to start watching the podcast, the Kelce Brothers podcast, New Heights. It's a great podcast, by the way. So now they're going to go watch this week. Watch this week. Watch the Kelce Brother podcast this week. Probably 50 mil watching that bad boy. So, yeah, unbelievable. So, I talked about Deon a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to segue back to college. We're going to go from pros to college. When the Colorado State coach said that stuff about Deon, it rubbed me wrong, as well as a lot of other people. But the Oregon coach, these guys are such hypocrites. These dang football coaches, I didn't like it. I didn't like the Oregon coach, how he said we play, we're not playing for clicks. We're playing for wins. The Cinderella. I'm okay with the Cinderella story stops today. I didn't like the playing for clicks because, listen, you haven't what Deon is doing. Yeah, here's the thing: you are playing for clicks. You are playing for eyeballs. Some of this stuff that these guys do, and it's all jealousy in the end. And don't stop saying, I can't stand these coaches like, I'm just looking out for my kids. No, you're not. You're looking out for yourself because you're jealous that Deon came in, and I know some of these coaches probably didn't pay his dues. That's what they're thinking. And now everybody's watching Colorado and everything. Just say, look, I didn't like his halftime speech going into the locker room. Like, I hope those people tuning in see us now. I hope they stay tuned in because we're not done yet. I'm like, just say, look, I'm glad my team's balling, and I'm glad Deon is bringing eyeballs to the sport and bringing eyeballs that probably wouldn't have got to see Oregon play this year. You get to see us play. So I want to thank him for that. That's what you want. I mean, because you did the same thing when you said we're not playing for clicks and you let those cameras in the locker room before the game. It was kind of strategic. I ain't going to lie. Kind of strategic. You didn't make it, quote unquote, personal with Deon this week. You waited till he couldn't have responded until after the game because he didn't see it. But I love Deon's response. He goes, I keep receipts. He sees everything. I don't know if you know that. I'll tag Deon and I'll see he saw it. And sometimes he'll respond. He's on it. He's using this social media tool to his advantage to recruit, to make money, and to get eyeballs on things. So I guarantee you this week, USC's coach ain't going to say a word, and he ain't going to say anything triggering before the game or halftime or after the game. I would be shocked if Coach Riley at USC says anything remotely close to that. So I didn't like that shit at all. It just rubbed me wrong. Like, it just screamed insecurity on your part. That's what it did. Because, look, Deon's secure who he is. And like he said, get him now. Get him now. Because it's the worst we going to be. And I made a tweet on Twitter. I was like, Deon about to be all in Oklahoma, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska. Mississippi. He going to be getting all them corn-fed farm boys to get on that offensive line. And I think he's going to be down to Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia to get those defensive linemen. Trust. They're coming. Like, I believe in Deon. They're coming. He walks in your room. You're going to go there. It just, some of these coaches, man, their insecurities is screaming through the television set. And it's like, it's just one thing to get your team fired up, but it's not necessary. But I do like how Colorado understands if you talk shit, and some of the players are talking shit, but that's players, it's not coaches. You gotta be able to swallow humble pie if you lose. And I like how his son, with the watch thing, he was saying he was good. They should be doing that to me after the game. That's good. They should be mocking me. We lost, So I like how they're not taking it personal. But all these other I'd be shocked if we'll see if another coach does anything. But Deon ain't new to this. He had to go through this at Jackson State. Remember the one guy said he ain't swag? And then the one coach pushed Deon and didn't want to shake his hand. It's a lot of jealousy. Look, in my line of work in stand-up, right, whenever I see comics just talking shit about other comics on social media, but not for no reason. There's not like they just start talking shit about people, and it's not initiated by anything. I'm just like, I would never do that. We all have our own opinions on who we think's funny, who we don't know why they're selling tickets because they're not funny. We all know those people. But for me to call somebody out on social media like that and not be happy with their career, it doesn't benefit me at all, because I look at things like this. There are plenty of comics that I have never thought was funny. I'm talking about from a teenager on when I started watching stand-up as a teenager to when I first got to comedy clubs in L.A. and started seeing, like, A-list headliners. There were some that I just didn't get it. I didn't think they were funny. Some I thought was hacky. And I kept thinking, but that's my opinion. And if you can find a fan base and you can find people that'll buy tickets to see you, who am I to say you're doing something wrong or why, or just go in on your social media now? And my thing is, even now, I'm like, I want to keep my options open on who wants to work with Gary Owen. So I'm not going to get online and talk shit about another comic, because the minute you talk shit about another comic, that comic might be the next one to pop, might start getting movie deals, TV deals, or might start putting together shows, and they're like, you just fucked yourself. Look at Luenell. Okay, Luenell had a Netflix special that drops this week, right? She would have never got that without Dave Chappelle. And and Dave clearly messes with Luenell. Like, he loves that chick because he's had him at his summer camp numerous times. I've FaceTimed her at least 3-4 times when she's been at Chappelle's house. I'll see her. What's funny about me and Luenell, I'll see her at Dave's house, and then I'll know, I know where she's at. And then I'll FaceTime her, and she'll be like, Gary. And I'm like, hey, can you put Dave on the phone? Can you walk me around Dave's house? She's like, Gary, shut up, get out the phone. But like, and I'm happy for her. And can you imagine if Luenell would have ever talked shit about Dave Chappelle? She just screwed herself out of a Netflix special. And that's what I try to tell. I don't try to tell comics, but if any comics are listening, man, really think about this before you go in on somebody online. Now, what I like about our business is we sit in the green room. We have our green room talks I'll talk with my openers. Like this week, a couple comics was in town. They stopped by to see me. And we'll talk about comics. And I'm sure people talk about me. And it doesn't mean you don't like them, but you'll be like, I don't know why this guy or this girl did this. That last special wasn't that great. Because here's what we don't want to ever say as comedians. When comedy specials come out, if you have 10 specials, the first one and the 10th one, it didn't keep getting better every time. There's always a special where you was like, that wasn't my best work. But we would never say that to you. We're just going and we're just going to be like, yeah, that was a good one. I'm talking about in real time. Now, as years go by, you can look back and say, hey, man, that shit you put out in 2008, that wasn't that great. You could say it then, but you don't say in 2008 when the shit drops. Because it's just, I wouldn't. Because that's what I just try to, if comics are listening to this and you take anything else out of this podcast, please take a second before you start talking shit about another comic and ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it really going to benefit me? Is it going to get you that many clicks since we're talking about clicks? I never want to screw myself out of potential work. So if you take nothing else out of the podcast, comedians, take that. All right. All right. Well, again, I'll see you in Richmond, Virginia this weekend at the Funny Bone. We got 5 shows. Tickets are really moving, so I'm excited to get the short pump. I wish you guys had a better airport that had direct flights. And then November 4th, San Jose, California. And just announced this week, November 1st, I'll be in Sacramento for one night at the Punchline. And then next week, October 7th, I am in. Let me make sure I got the day right. October 7th. I'm in Palm Springs. First time at the Morongo Casino. October 7th. Yeah, Palm Springs, Morongo. And then the 8th, I'm gonna head over to Phoenix and go see the Bengals and Cardinals. Get to see the young dude, Paris Johnson Jr., known that kid since he was 8 years old, maybe younger, maybe 6. And now he's a starting left tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. Who would have thought at 6 years old at T-ball, Paris Johnson would be where he's at? So I'm going to go see him play my beloved Bengals. So I'll probably just root for the offense that game. So, all right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.